Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. We are in the last days of the semester, so we have to finish strong. So I encourage you to study very hard for the final exam that we have in a few days. But I would like to talk a little bit about the last activity that we had, and it was the decoding the DNA of the Toyota Production System, the TPS for short. The TPS is today is the best known production system. Many researchers agree that this is the best production system so far that has been developed in the world. And as you read in the article, many companies are trying to imitate the good practices of the Toyota production system. In fact, in the industry, we say that that's a benchmarking process. We adapt, we understand, we imitate, we copy the best practices that we believe are the reason to success, for example, in this case, for the Toyota production system. So the article presents a very nice discussion about what's really the foundation of this success of the TPS. And four rules are presented by the authors. The first three related to, so they are rules for design, and the last one is a rule for improvement. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Maybe there are other authors that disagree with this point of view, but there is an agreement in the sense that the TPS is an efficient production system. So we have many things to learn from the TPS. It could be these four rules or other practices that are main features of this production system. The three rules for design, very quick. It's we want all the jobs be clearly specified. We want clear, simple, direct relationships between customers and suppliers, and also the pathway of each product and service is simple and well known for everyone in the organization. Of course, this someone could say, well, this makes sense, this is logic, yes, but sometimes in the everyday operations we are very busy trying to solve problems, trying to meet goals, trying to achieve targets, and we forget to pay attention to the simple things. The learning here, it could be that apply something like the TPS could be something really complicated or simple, and I think it could be a matter of leadership. And the last rule, the fourth one, is that in each improvement initiative they apply the scientific method. This is very interesting, and it's associated with what I call a culture in an organization. In fact, Toyota asks suppliers to have a high standards of productivity, so many of them try to copy the TPS. And in the same way that we know the Toyota production system, there are many organizations that have their own production system. For example, Autoliv is a Toyota supplier. They supply airbags. They have their own production system, and it's based on the principles of the TPS. But when you know these organizations trying to adapt the good practices of the TPS, you can identify that these organizations have their own culture. I believe that this is the article shows how Toyota has been successful migrating, developing a highly productive culture in different plants in different countries in the world. And of course, any culture has values, has ethical principles that allow all the workers, all the human beings to be in the same channel, so they are working toward the same goal. So I believe that what we can identify very important here is this culture and these values that the organization and the employees pay attention on. And again, it looks that in the TPS everyone works with a very high responsibility, with a very high commitment. They belong to a fair system. And if you see, these are values, these are this is an ethical behavior that the organization has developed in, in its employees. So the environment is it's a nice environment, it's a fair environment, it's an environment where you can identify commitment, responsibility, hard work. So everyone is satisfied. Now many researchers are developing new concepts like sustainable supply chains or sustainable productivity or sustainable production environments. And there are many factors that we consider as the main factors to qualify as a sustainable organization. They are that we must sustain the business, we must sustain society, we must sustain institutions, and we must sustain the environment. But when we say that we must sustain society, that means that we must have satisfied employees. And satisfied employees means that they have a good salary, they have a good environment, working environment, they have a satisfactors, they are really happy doing what they are doing. So this is the new challenge of the organizations, and it looks Toyota has already achieved that level. I remember a few years ago when Nissan here in the United States opened the plant in Canton, Mississippi, very close to Jackson, Mississippi, the capital of the state. So they opened a Nissan plant, and I was in a meeting with many of the people working over the plant, and they were concerned. They were concerned because they brought all the advanced technology to the Canton plant, but they were not able to achieve the same quality level that they were achieving in Japan. They were producing here in Canton, Mississippi, they were producing the Pathfinder, but the quality level was lower. So they were very concerned because they said, well, we have the last equipment, we have robots, we have numerical control machines, we have everything that we have in Japan, but we are not achieving the same quality level. And the reason was the culture, the employees' culture, that it was different in Japan than in Canton, Mississippi. So some people were saying, well, then we are worse workers here in the United States than in Japan. And the answer is not. The thing is that a culture, a set of values cannot be implemented in one day. But of course, automation, robots, machines can be installed in one day. But a culture takes time. So it was just a matter of time that the Nissan plant started to achieve the quality level. It was just a matter of time because they needed to develop the culture. They needed to absorb the values that are the characteristics of the Nissan production system. So again, keep this in mind, that in any organization it's very important to have a culture, to have values, to have ethical behavior, and if we can achieve that, then the results are going to be very good for everyone, because if the organization does well, for sure employees, people are going to do well as well. Well, the last part of the semester is it's coming, so again I encourage you to prepare, to work very hard to prepare your final exam. Again, I invite you to ask me any questions in order to be ready for your final exam. You can use the group that is on Blackboard. When you open Blackboard, on your left hand side you can see general group of Dr. Ablanedo. You can post any question and I'll be glad to answer them. And also I invite you to a live session that we will have a few days before the exam to answer any questions. You will receive information about that pretty soon. So it was a great pleasure to work with you guys, and I hope you have enjoyed this class, and I hope to see you again in a different set, with a different purpose. And if you visit Ciudad Juarez, El Paso, don't be afraid to let me know, and I'll be glad to meet you. Again, thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon again in a few days. Good luck.